I got a door. That's really cool. I don't know if you guys noticed, but before it was a door, it was actually just a large black packing blanket just hanging there. Got some drums. I'm trying to teach myself how to play those. Okay, I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this right now before the video even gets started. Go ahead and smash the like button just for drums and for a door. That's what we've been needing. We've been needing some drums and a door, and we have both of those now, so go ahead and smash the like button for that. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content in the future from me. I'm going to be doing stuff on drums eventually. I'm going to be doing more stuff on home studio production, more stuff on guitar stuff. Maybe you can do some door content. We'll see. Probably not, though. I'm still kind of trying to find my niche. I'm not really sure what I want to do more of or what I want to focus on the most, but it really means a lot to me that you guys are along for the ride. I think we're almost at 300 subscribers today. If I'm not mistaken, I think the last time I checked we were like 296, so that's awesome. The topic for today's video, I'm going to preface with this. I've been in your position. I've been in your mindset. I know what you're thinking. I really wish I knew so-and-so's presets. I really wish I knew what this guy puts on his equalizer. I wish I knew what settings this guy uses on his compressors. What does he do to his vocals? What kind of settings is this guy using on his drums and guitars? What are your master bus settings? It goes on and on and on. I've been there. I've done tons of online education for production and mixing, whether that be Nail the Mix or Mix with the Masters or Mix You or just free stuff on YouTube. I've done all of it, and that is one thing that most of the people in the communities are really, really concerned about. They want to know just the magic settings. Well, there's not magic settings for anything. That's why most of these producers, their main tip for you is to learn how to mix with your ears. Learn to know what you're listening for. Learn to know what is a good balance for things and focus on that. So for this video, I've just downloaded some multi-tracks for a sample of a song off of Mike Senior's Mixing Secrets library. It is a free library online that has I think 200 plus songs that you can download the multi-tracks for, and then you can practice on those. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. It says not for profit use, and I'm not getting paid for this. This is for educational purposes only, but I will go ahead and link that in the description, and you guys can download that as well and maybe mix along with me if you'd like. The point I'm trying to make in this video is, like I said earlier, their settings don't matter. What you hear and what needs to be done to the song is very specific to that song and very specific to what your tastes are. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my DAW, and I'm going to do 2 mixes of this song. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but like I said, I'm gonna do 2 mixes. I'm gonna do one mix using only presets, and I'm going to do another mix actually paying attention to what I think the song needs, and we're going to listen to the difference and see how substantial it is. I'm going to be really embarrassed if my mix sounds just like preset mixing. Okay, so I am going to be mixing in my headphones, so just so there's no audio issues and feedback problems with my microphone. I'm not a big fan of mixing on headphones, at least not these anyway. These are the only ones I've tried besides the ones I used at Andrews. I will double check the mix whenever I get done with it on my monitors just to make sure it's good. But yeah, let's hop right into Logic. Okay, so to be fair, I have gone ahead and done some sample replacing on the kick and the snare of the drums, just because I didn't really think what was there was usable. I've done that, and also the tracks that I downloaded were guitar DIs, and I have gone ahead and run those through some amp sims to get some basic rhythm and lead tones for that, just so you guys didn't have to see me do that. However, the bass is completely raw. I did split it up into 2 tracks just because I typically will do a high and a low bass. I'll show you guys that soon. Lead vocals are still completely raw. Background vocals still raw. So really the only thing I've done is that sample replacing on the snare and the kick, and then I made the guitar tones, and then I've done a little bit of routing and stuff just to show you guys what I'm working with routing wise. I'm sending all of my instruments to an instrument bus, and my lead vocals and my background vocals to a vocal bus, and then both of those are being summed up on a 2 bus, and then I have my stereo out. We're gonna get into this preset only mix and see how it goes. We'll do a quick run through of just what we have raw so far. Okay, so I don't remember the name of the band, but the song's called Loser, and the guy just sings over and over that he's a loser. Hopefully I won't feel that way after this. By the way, I'm drinking V8 tonight. It is nighttime. That's how long it took me to figure out how to set up OBS. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull up my mixer view. The first thing I would typically do is I would set levels. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. I'm going to set instrument levels. I think the lead guitars are a little loud, so I'm going to... I guess there's really no way to set levels with presets. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and still do that. Let's see how that sounds. My initial thought was to lower them a little more, but it is a pop punk song, and then that kind of like rhythmy lead, kind of like riffy lead, kind of carries the song, so I'm going to leave that way. Let's see about this. Alright, let's go, let's listen to our drums. Don't know what just the cymbal track is. Maybe that's the... I like to pan my drums like drummer perspective. I think that's pretty standard. So I think this may be... Let's listen. This may be a crash cymbal that he's using. It sounds maybe like a china or something. I'm going to pan it right a little bit since I panned my hi-hat left. I think that's pretty good. If anything, the guitars may be a little loud. So I will almost always mix my instruments, do like a really basic mix on my instruments first, and then I'll go into my lead or my vocals and stuff. So I'm just going to leave those alone at the moment. But yeah, we're going to get right into the presets. I will start off with a compressor on my instrument bus. I'll probably start out with a compressor and an EQ on that just to do a little bit of top down. I really like the FG Gray. Let's pop that open and let's just find a preset. I'm not gonna just randomly pick presets. I will see which preset I like the most. And I'm not gonna let myself adjust anything. I'm not gonna adjust the threshold or anything. So my initial inclination, I like that this has a high pass on it just so the bass and the kick drum aren't triggering that needle too much. But that's a 124 hertz. That's a lot higher than I would normally put it. Mix squasher, that's a little much. Punchy mix? Let's see. I'm really tempted to pick this one, even though I know it's not reacting very well, or it's not reacting much to the mix. I may actually cheat the system a little bit here. I'm going to actually turn up my instrument bus a little. to see if I can get that trigger and the needle a little more, because I'll say why I'm going to do this, okay? I like where the high pass is at. 100 hertz, that's not too bad. I'll typically set mine around 70 or 80, just depending on my kick and bass relationship. But I like for my needle to basically only react to my snare drum. So let's see if that's what happens. Yeah, so I'm good with that. It's not as much as I would normally like, but I mean it's kind of like hovering between 0 and 1, and then whenever the snare hits, it's going to 1 or 2. I like to do that, so that's what we're gonna go with. It's kind of funny because that's actually really similar to a preset that I learned from Nolly, Adam Nolly Get Good on YouTube. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm going to put on the Universal Audio Pultec. And no, I do not have all these plugins. They just make you look at them. Let's go Pultec Legacy. Yeah, Pultec Pro Legacy. I like that one. And then we'll find a factory preset that we like. As they're gonna be, we'll see. That makes it sound pretty huge. I like the Masterful and Bright, I think. Let's see what we're working with. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put I don't always do this, but for simplicity's sake and to limit that so it's not doing too much, I'm going to do the Master Assistant on this. We'll go medium intensity streaming. Alright, sweet. So it's actually sounding significantly better now that we have a little bit of a mastering chain set up. I've done just a little bit of compression with the FG Gray. The Pultec is basically doing some boosting. It's doing like a high and a low shelf at I think like 100 hertz and then at like 10,000 hertz. And then the Ozone, I don't even know what it's doing. That does not get more preset than that. I just let the mastering assistant do that. I did that mainly for limiting, but I'm sure it probably also did some EQ and whatnot. Yeah. So that's pretty standard stuff. So the next thing I will do after I get that is I will typically do some kind of mix for my drums. I like to get my drums sounding really good by themselves. Yeah, that might not be the right way to do it, but that's just how I do it. I'll solo my drums, get a pretty slamming drum mix, and then I will start adding stuff to the drum mix because to me the drums are kind of the foundation of the mix. All right, let's see how these drums sound. Alright, let's see what I can do to my room. Check out Waves. Waves usually has like a ton of presets for this kind of stuff. Let's get this SSL channel strip out and see what it has for rooms, or if it has anything. Room. So that actually sounds like that darkened the room up pretty well, and that kick is squashed pretty well. It sounds kind of like what I like to do with my rooms. I typically will make my rooms a little like squishier, a little fuller. I like for them to take up a pretty good amount of frequency. So let's see. Yeah, that sounds decent. Let's do another thing that I do pretty often with these drums. I'm going to send to a bus. I'll send to this. We're going to do some decapitator. I always use a preset on this. The only thing that's going to suck is that I'm not going to be able to adjust the preset at all. However, no worries. I do drums, 70s record. I learned that from Andrew. However, it is something that I do all the time now. So we're going to go option, set that for. Woo, I hope that was not too loud. Now that I have that, I almost don't like the way that room is sounding. Actually, no, I'm chill with it. Let's go with that. See what we can do. It sounds kind of muffly at the moment. I'm not sure if it's these headphones or what's going on. All right, sweet. I'm not going to overthink it. Let's just go to the next thing. I think that's all I'm going to do on that. All right, let's see about these overheads. That is something I kind of like. I like to approach my drums from like the whole image and then work into the single pieces. I used to start with kick, snare, and just work my way up: kick, snare, toms, cymbals, room. However, I've recently been doing room, overheads, and then just kind of working my way backwards in that context, I suppose. Let's listen to these overheads. So I'm actually going on this overhead. I'm going to do Smash and Grab version 2, see if that comes up. So this is a compressor from Get Go Drums. I'm sure you guys know about that. Let's see if they have presets. Oh, they don't have presets. Do they have presets? Surely there is some kind of preset menu in here. Does it count as a preset if I just set it to overhead? No, I can't do that. Wow, this is not helpful in this situation. I really like this compressor. I don't use it all the time anymore, but it was whenever I first got started and I was doing presets all the time, that was a big deal. All right, so instead of that, we're going to let's go to Fab Filter. This is my favorite surgical EQ. And honestly, the overheads on this aren't super like unpleasant. The cymbals don't sound too bad. I would like to do a little bit of a roll off on that kick. Let's see, drums. Not a fan. Ooh, oh, okay, let's see. Wow, that's actually really helpful. Wow. I think that is getting rid of a little too much of my cymbal sound. Let's go drums, overheads. Ooh, I feel like this is going to be it. I don't know. That is actually kind of doing what I would like for it to do, but I wish I could kind of pull out of some frequencies of those cymbals. Now that this is doing the high extraction is what this called on this preset, it's kind of pointy, so let's see. Maybe if we mix that in with the darker room, though, it won't be too bad. You know, we're just gonna, let's see if we can actually find another thing that can get rid of those a little bit. Overhead's darker. All right, so we're going to leave those two on because I feel like that darkener helps the pointiness or pokiness of the cymbals a little bit. So I'm going to look for, let's see, 76. Let's see if they have some kind of overheads. Okay, so I think that overheads preset with the blue face actually brings out the sound of the cymbals a little more. Actually, no, I'm not a fan of that. I don't even know if I'm a fan of that. Dude, that just makes it so sizzly up there. I wish I could just pull this down. It's 17 decibels of, wow. No, we're just going to go with it. We are going to go with it. Let's see, this guy. If I could just get like a standard roll off on him, that would be suffice. Let's see if we can find a low cut. I want more low cut. Sorry, I'm just playing around. All right, I'm just going to throw that low cut on there. That's not helpful at all. Never mind. I just wish I could. Alright, I'm chill with that. That kind of knocked the kick down a little bit. I like my, obviously you guys have heard this kind of stuff, but I like my low end to be held up primarily by the bass and the kick drum. Then I'll also add in some low end in the rooms and in the bus itself. So let's see. Dude, those cymbals are sounding rough. All that is like super. Let's see. That's sounding pretty freaking trashy. Maybe we'll pull it back. Alright, that's what we're going to roll with. Let's take a look at this kick drum. And that's actually a pretty good curve on the kick drum. There's a little bit of boxiness right here I'd like to get rid of. Let's see. This has something for kick. Alright, honestly, I don't hate that. We'll just work with that. We'll go with that and see what happens. Alright, let's take a look at the snare top now. Alright, I don't really love this snare. And what sucks is I picked it. Let's go see. Not a fan. Not a fan of that at all. I want some beef out of that, you know what I mean? That's backwards. Just a little compression on that. I think that's gonna darken it up a little much. I almost like that. I wish I could just pull that up just a little bit because that snare sounded a little pokey to me. We'll keep that and we'll do another one of these and see if we can find some kind of -12 +6. All right, let's roll with that. That does not sound bad. Let's see, I'm going to do I'm going to do another FG gray. This is in the wrong spot. I'm going to do, so the drums are sounding pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of master bus processing on the drums, which I probably should have done at the beginning, but I'm going to do this and see what happens. Let's do another FG gray. Throw that on there. Yeah, it's definitely not what I want. With my drum bus, what I typically like, I like it to hover around 1 to 3 decibels for the most part. I like typically like a faster attack and then the auto release, but this release is way too fast. I usually like the ratio to sit around like 4 to 3, so that would be fine. Just the release is too fast. It's pumping. It's not what I want. And honestly, having a little bit of that movement is pretty cool, but whenever it's moving like that to the kick drum, that's not what we want. I don't know if FG Gray has a preset that I will be satisfied with. Let's take a look at the SSL comp from Waves. Maybe this has a drum one. West Drum Bus. Alright, I'm feeling that, so I'm kind of feeling that. I may take that off. I am going to go ahead and throw on another Pultec on my drum bus to try to get a little bit of beef. See, to try to get a little bit of oomph out of that kick drum. Let's see if we can find something, some kind of low boost. Punchy kick. Not feeling that. Let's go. What I'm really wanting is a little bit of a low boost. Let's see if there's just a default low boost. Are they attenuating on that at all? No, they're not. But I'm going to see what that sounds like, and then I'm going to take off one of those. Take off these. So at least as much as I can tell, I want to boost really more down low towards like 60 on that. I want to boost more towards like 60, and I would just based on these headphones, which I mean, they should be picking up low end at least decently well. I want to boost that a little more, but I'm gonna see what these overheads sound like because this is boosting some high frequencies. It's actually, let's see, it's boosting 12 at almost 7 dB. So let's see. Typically the curves on this Pultec are a little more pleasant than some of these other things. So let's see what the overheads sound like by themselves with this and then without this. So this is overheads by themselves. And then overheads with the 2 Pro Q3 moves. Very bright. I think this one's actually supposed to darken things up a little. Yeah, overhead's 3 darkener. You know, we're going to roll with that. I'm actually going to get rid of this one. That is making the cymbals just way too sizzly in my opinion. And this little bump right here in the lower frequencies, that may actually help our kick out a little bit. As far as I can tell, I'm lacking a little bit of bottom on this, so we'll see what this sounds like. And that's actually sounding much better. The next thing I want to do, I want a snare room, so we'll send that. Snare room. Okay. All right, so like I said, I want a snare room on this. When it comes to snare rooms and the reverbs that you use for that, maybe this is something that I'm just not aware of, but it really doesn't matter a ton to me which reverb I use. Some sound a little more pleasant than the others, and some are a little more aggressive than others. It really just depends. I don't know if this one has... One I use pretty often is this guy from Stillwell Audio Verbiage. I don't know if it has any presets built into it, though. Oh, it totally does. Snare drum insert. Let's see what that sounds like. I use this verbiage pretty often. I'm going to see what this medium drum room sounds like. And then I already have a preset built in, so I may cheat and use that. Let's go send all my snare, turn it down, drums up. Not a big fan of that. Let's see what this guy sounds like. Yeah. So this is a preset. This may be cheating. This is a preset from Nolly. He uses this pretty often. I'm gonna run with this. Yeah, that's too good. I'm using that. Sorry. Actually, I learned this trick on Nail the Mix from Bo Burchell. Sometimes the kick drum, if it doesn't have like a little bit of like a room on it, then it sounds kind of disconnected from the mix. The same thing can happen with your toms. It sounds like it's kind of just floating out of nowhere, or like in the middle of nowhere, and then the rest of the drum mix is happening around it. So I'm going to send this kick drum to my snare room and see if that's adequate. If it's not, I will have to send that to a different different reverb. And if that doesn't work out, I may make just a reverb for the drum bus. That's something that I've done in the past that I kind of like sometimes as well. Yeah, that's got a good bit of kick yeah, right there. Which with this kind of song, I would typically want a good bit of 4K in that. So that's kind of where that's clicking at. But having that on that particular snare room, I'm not sure what settings I have on that. Yeah, this is a pretty bright snare room. It's got a high shelf going. Yeah, no, that's pretty bright. I think I'm going to try to find a different reverb to send that to. I'm going to send that to a different one. Let's see about this chroma verb. Just scoot that right over. All right. Punchy room. I'm not liking sending just the kick, so I'm going to send the whole drum bus to that drum room, see what we can make happen. So I don't hate that by itself. We'll see how that sounds with everything. All right, no, I'm really. Let's see, we're gonna go reverb. Okay, so this is a trick I've also done in the past if I'm not feeling my just the drum reverb. And this may not be best practices, but a trick that I've done to kind of make the mix glue together a little more. I will take one reverb that I really like. It differs on which reverb I actually end up using. I'm going to take a look at this little plate again, and I may just leave it right there. Just wet all the way up. Let's take a look at that. And so something that I'll do pretty often just to make the mix glue together a little more, I'll take a reverb like this little plate. It sounds really good just by itself. That sounds like a legit, like just a bigger room. It sounds like you're hearing someone play drums in like a different room down a hall or something. It sounds really good. So for a trick to make the whole mix glue together, I will send pretty much I'll send everything to it. So I'm going to send that. I'll send this. And I'm going to go ahead and do this right now just because it's a little more top down. But I'll listen to that. And I'll probably send all my drums to it. But then I'll send everything in like differing levels. So it kind of sounds like the way I think it would sound if I was hearing that room. Like if I was listening to the band play outside and this is what it sounded like, I want to hear the levels about like that. Now typically you would probably only really hear the drums, but we're just going to assume that everyone else is cranked and you can hear them as well. All right, sounds good. That's great. Okay, and now I'm going to see what it does if I send just the kick drum to that. See if I can make that a little. Alright, I think that sounded pretty cool. Alright, let's take a look at this bass guitar now. Just because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to find a preset that allows me to do just the bass frequencies and just the higher frequencies, I'm going to probably mute this bass high and just listen to this. Or if there's a bass preset on this. It's not unusual for me to, whenever I'm doing this, to limit the crap out of that lower half of the bass just so it's like, just stays right there. I'm not seeing a Hedges bass limiter. So I'm definitely going to do that Hedges bass limiter just to kind of like keep that in place a little more. See if there's another one. Nope. All right, Mike Hedges bass limiter. And then I'm going to find, let's see if this has a cool dynamic drums instruments. Not a fan of that. I see, this is like the surgical stuff is where only having the presets or only using someone else's presets gets pretty challenging just because my what I usually go for, I would sit here, typically I would look at this and we're hovering around 96 hertz. That's a pretty good solid frequency right there. So my natural inclination, just based on also according to whatever my kick drum sounds like, I'm going to want to boost some frequencies of the bass guitar because I typically like to do my kick drum below my bass. So my natural inclination is going to be to boost some of those higher frequencies in my bass guitar and to dip out some of the higher frequencies on my kick drum just so those kind of lock in together. However, that's not something that I can like just readily do right now because I can't pick what I want to pick, you know? So let's see, like that's boosting some of the lower frequencies. That's not really what I want. Let's see here. I like how that's making the bass click there. Okay, I'm kind of digging that. I like to saturate my bass a little bit, so we're going to see if FabFilter Saturn has any kind of preset that may be beneficial. I'm going to put this after that, make sure, see if I can get some more of that clack out of it. All right, we're gonna leave the bass at that just because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that. Looks like our snare may be clipping our stuff. I'll re-level that snare just based on my vocals. The guitars, for the most part, are just going to be a little bit of EQ and some leveling. I may do some light compression on that, but probably not. So there's really just some whistly frequencies going on, and the higher frequencies probably somewhere between 3 and 5K if I had to guess. I kind of want to roll off a little bit of the low end on these, and then there's a little bit of boxiness going on, but like what we learned from Andrew, you kind of want some of that boxiness sometime to help fill up the mix, so maybe that's not something that we really need to worry about. Let's see. Guitar. So no, that is a little much. Let's try this low shelf. That starts, yeah, that may be more. So that low shelf is taken out a little too much. I'm going to see if I may be able to find some way to add back in a little bit of mids on that. Maybe this tilt shelf? No, that's not what I need. That is the opposite of what I need. Okay, let's go. So I'm sure you can tell by now at least that mixing with just presets or mixing with someone else's presets is not nearly, it's really not as easy or nearly as effective as mixing on your own. Gonna grab this Infinite EQ. I never even use this EQ. I'm pretty sure this is totally like used for mastering pretty often. I literally never even use this. Alright, so actually I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty clutch. For this guitar's heavy, that's kind of semi doing what I want it to do. I'm not in love with that. But I mean, these are super mid-range, like heavy guitars anyways. So we're gonna definitely roll with that. Let's take a look at these background vocals when they come in. Why is this muted? Alright. Alright, so this lead vocal, well, we'll do the lead vocal first. Okay. I'm going to take a look at this guy. You can tell I use Pro Q3 a lot. I'm realizing now though that the presets in Pro Q3 are not the best. Vocal. And just for like I said earlier, for brevity's sake, I'm just going to mainly be doing it on the buses. Just to quickly get through it. So let me hear this again by itself. I cannot do if it's alright. All I have to do is wait it. Can't pretend if it's alright, 'cause I have no time to spend with fears of mine. This is the soundtrack of my life. So this one may not even need a lot of EQ, honestly. But typically on my lead vocals, I'll take a look at, I'll cut out some of this frequencies, and there's typically something called like a throat voice that's hovering around in this area, and I'll work on that, and then I'll typically do boosts similar to this for a little bit of air. This guy's voice is so high that's not even really a problem, so we're just gonna leave that like that. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of compression, obviously. One of my favorite compressors for a grab and go is, where's it at? JST gain reduction. Here we go. I cannot do Okay, so this guy, just to make him a little more up front, I'm probably going to hit him with, let's see, Teletronics, LA28 Legacy. All right, I'm going to hit him with the gentle compression. See what that does. This is the soundtrack of my life. I am losing, I know it. You know what? Honestly, this may be beneficial for the whole bus. So I can't if it's alright. All I have to do is wait. Can't pretend if it's alright, 'cause I never time to spend with fears of mine. This is the soundtrack of my life. Let's go to, I'm gonna send this lead vocal to that room reverb. Let's see. All right, so that's sounding good. Let's just copy these over. Let's take a look at these though. They're these background vocals. Okay, so I actually think for only presets, that sounds relatively decent. Let's go ahead and give that a listen. I am a loser, I know it. I can't play if it's alright. I am a loser, I know it. All I have to do is can't pretend if it's alright, 'cause I never time to spend with fears of mine. This is the soundtrack of my life. I am a loser, I know it. I think really the only thing that I could do to make this a little better, I mean, this sounds like a pretty decent demo right now, honestly. Make a dedicated vocal reverb, and we will just do jazz vocal room. There you go. All right, so we're going to send our vocals to that and call it a day. I am a loser, I know it. I can't play if it's alright. All I have to do is can't pretend if it's alright, 'cause I never time to spend with fears of mine. This is the soundtrack of my life. Alright, I'm going to listen to this through my monitors really quick just to see where we're at, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I just took a listen to that through my monitors, and honestly, it wasn't too bad. I was only using presets, and Part of the battle for me is partially using these headphones. I'm typically always mixing on these monitors, so there were some balancing issues that probably came from only using the headphones. Like I wish my kick drum would have been a little more present. I wish it had a little more beef to it, like I said earlier, and my bass guitar was actually a little loud. It was fighting with the vocals a little bit, which sounds kind of weird, but just volume-wise. So that also wasn't too bad. I probably could have fine-tuned it on these monitors, and for presets, this actually turned out pretty well. This has turned into a really long video, I know, but I'm confident that I'm going to be able to mix this quicker, especially now that I've already mixed it once, but I'm also about to not be limited by presets. I'm going to get in here and get it with my own ears. Let's get after it. Okay, so here we are back in Logic. I have almost a completely clean slate. I did leave my effects aux tracks set up. I left the 2-bus Ozone on. I may let the mastering assistant redo its thing on that. Let's see, I think some of the leveling moves I did stayed the same, and I left, like I said, these sends on just because I probably will reinstate those, and I didn't mind the effects really. So let's go ahead and take a listen at this. Alright, so obviously we're missing a ton of volume on that, so I'm going to go ahead and do my FG Gray on my instrument bus. Funny enough, I'm going to pull a preset. I'll check on that again later, and then I'm going to Universal Audio, we'll go down to the Pultec. And then typically, these are just really standard moves that I make on pretty much everything. I'll do that, and I'll go to 12 and do a boost. I'll do like a 2 decibel boost. Just immediately makes it sound better. Do a little attenuating on that. Alright, so just gonna mute my vocal bus. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a listen to our drums. So the first thing I'm going to do, just top down like normal, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my decapitator insert. I'm going to, however, something that I'll prefer to do on decapitator that I didn't get to do earlier, I do always use the 70s record. However, this is cutting out a lot of the low end. I'm going to move that back. So I get that low end back, and I'm going to darken it up a little bit. Alright, so for my kick, I'll take some of that subby out. So this really isn't that bad. I may add some more. So I'm going ahead and cutting that out a little bit because I know that I'm going to have to change the fundamental frequency of my bass from lower down. So it probably, what I saw it sitting around earlier was like 90 and 100. So the bass fundamental is probably around like 45 or 50. So I'm going to have to try to shift it up. I'm going to boost that like 90 or 100 hertz a little bit. I'll go ahead and do that right now. While I'm doing that, I will solo that as well. Something I really enjoy about FabFilter is this ability to, it's going to show me where my frequencies are overlapping, this is super helpful. So this actually isn't even that bad. They're chilling pretty well. I'm going to boost this a little bit. So with that, my bass, so I've just boosted this pretty dramatically. You see I'm doing almost 10 decibels right there, and I've cut almost 10 decibels in that almost exact same spot on the kick drum. And as far as I can tell on these headphones, they're locked in pretty well now. I'm going to keep the kick drum up there. I may add a little more of that click in whenever I get the full band going. Let's listen to it without. I think I want to do a little bit. This is actually made. Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, so I mean that's just kind of adding a little beef to the kick, putting it a little more forward. All right, so we'll do that. I want to listen to my room. So I do like to trash my room a decent bit. I'm actually going to go ahead and use this smash and grab just because we used it earlier, or almost used it earlier. Do that. I'll smash the room. And I like this because it has the beef and air. So. Yeah, I'll leave that right there. I think that's dope. So we'll leave that, and then I'll go in with Pro Q3 to clean up the subby a little bit. I think I'm going to leave that the way it is. Take a look at these overheads now. Typically with my overheads, I'll use them mainly as a simple mic. So this is something that I couldn't really get away with earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and brighten up the cymbals a little. Do 12. Then we'll attenuate. Going to go ahead and send my kick to that, send that. Let's see if there's anything I want to do to this snare. I think I want to add a little bit of snap to that snare. I'm going to go to snares. Alright, so this single shot brass is actually from Hardcore Music Studio. So we'll see how that sounds. This is my snare. Dude, my inclination is just to leave that 100% because I love the way that snare sounds. I do think I will do a little more of that. Let's see what we're looking like on our FG grade. We may need to cut a little bit of that. Yeah, we were decapitating way too much drums. I'm going to do FG gray on this. Do this. Go like that. 3-to-1. So like that, I kind of feel like even though the needle's not moving a ton, I feel like that's giving it, with the cymbals, giving it a little bit of movement. Let's see if this needs any boosting. So I'm having a little bit of trouble on these headphones telling how much low end I have if I have too much. I'm starting to really be able to hear it though. And earlier when I checked on my reference mix on my monitors, there wasn't enough low end and the kick wasn't really where I wanted it to be. So I'm going to leave that right there. Okay, sorry about that. My camera totally just died, so we're on the backup camera now. Let's get back to it. Like I said earlier, I'm really satisfied with where I just where I boosted this right here, even though I know that it is pretty loud. 10 dB is a pretty drastic move. However, that's really fitting in with the kick pretty well. Okay, so that sounded pretty decent. We're going to take a look at these guitars, and we're going to see how the relationship is with the guitars and the bass, and then we'll get on to our vocals. Let's take a listen to these guitars. I know I'm going to need some Pro Q3 on those. So I'm going to roll out the very, very low frequencies. Alright, so let's see where this, I think the bass is giving me a little bit of trouble with my guitars. Let's see what that sounds like. Alright, so that's what we're totally going to roll with this time. Let's, we're going to start with our background vocals this time. So let's get these guys up a little bit. Not sponsored, but JST's gain reduction is so good, I think I'm just going to go with that again. This is the soundtrack of my life. So actually on this gain reduction, I turned the body all the way up just because earlier, I'm imagining they were probably tracked with a high cut on, I mean, with a high pass on that, so that's probably why some of that was taken out. However, I want to have a little more control over that, so I'm going to put that back, and then I'll shape it the way I want to. I am a loser, I know it. This is the soundtrack of my life. I am a loser, I know it. Soundtrack of my life. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, the throat voice. Kind of that's where it sounds like a megaphone a little bit right there. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of that Universal Audio Teletronics LA2A Legacy on there to get that sitting where I want. And I pretty much usually just use a gentle compression. Soundtrack of my life. I am a loser, I know it. This is the soundtrack of my life. All right, sweet. So just for brevity's sake, that's what I'm going to call this right now. I'm going to take a listen to it through my monitors to see what I messed up. But yeah, I mean, not only was it a more enjoyable experience getting to do it without the presets, but it was much quicker, and I feel like we're probably at the same spot. So let's take a listen. Okay, so listening back to that on my monitors, I'm confident in saying that whenever I was using my headphones, I was not able to judge the drastic moves that I was making nearly as well as I thought I was able to. So I actually was kind of more satisfied with the preset version than with me doing it by myself. That is a weird turn of events, I know. However, whenever I was able to dial it in on my monitors, I was much more satisfied with it than I was with the presets. I just went a little over the top with a decapitator and with my low end boosts, and then my lead vocal was way too loud. But honestly, the guitars ended up sitting pretty well. The bass ended up sitting pretty well. Everything sat really well, but the moves were just a little too drastic. I'm going to blame that on my headphones. Also, I'm still getting good at this. I'm still getting better at this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. I really do hope you guys enjoyed watching this. This is going to be a really, really long video. I may actually make a little message at the beginning of it just to warn how long the video is. I feel like, though, that this has probably been a pretty informative video. You guys have also been able to see a little insight into how I go about mixing stuff. I definitely don't always do the presets. You know, maybe this video is showing that maybe I should do presets a little more often, maybe kind of just as a starting point at least. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with presets as a starting point. I'm just saying you probably don't need to be using them all the time for everything. And also asking a professional audio engineer for his settings. His settings probably aren't necessarily going to be any better than your settings. His settings just are appropriate for the song and are in the right context, and that's really the biggest part about mixing. As we've seen of me mixing in the context of these headphones, mixing is all about context, and the song is very context specific, the room is very context specific, your choices are very dependent upon all those things. So I think that is the main gist of this video. Mixing is such an intricate thing, and it really just depends most of the time on what is called for at the time. Smash the like button for the video. Let me know in the comments if you like these longer format types of videos. The one that I posted before this, I think, was just over 10 or 12 minutes. If you guys like these longer type of videos, like the one I did with Andrew and like this, let me know, and I would be happy to do more mixing stuff. I love to mix, and so I can do this more often. You guys just let me know what you like. Peace, guys. I am losing